The 1970 Marcos Mantis was meant to be a breakthrough for the small British company, whose reputation had previously been built primarily on lightweight sports cars and successful racing designs. This model was intended to open the brand to broader markets and attract entirely new customers, especially those outside the existing group of lightweight coupe enthusiasts. Instead, the project proved to be a significant liability, both reputationally and financially. Its bold, controversial styling, unpopular even with the brand's loyal fans, marked the beginning of problems that would long impact Marcos's history. Stylistically, the Mantis looked as if it had been half-finished. The long, angular front end, juxtaposed with the heavily glazed cabin and striking rear end, gave the impression that the designers had attempted to combine several different concepts at once. The result was so bizarre that even the British press, accustomed to the originality of sports cars, reviewed the car with apparent caution. At a time when consumers increasingly bought cars with their eyes, the Mantis simply failed to evoke desire. This, from the outset, dashed any chance of market success. Design-wise, the model was the first four-seat, full-size coupe in the company's history. Marcos Engineering's founders, Jem Marsh and Frank Costin, were renowned for their passion for lightweight, aerodynamic designs and the application of aviation techniques, particularly wooden monocoques. The Mantis diverged from this heritage. Its cabin was spacious, and the design was intended to strike a balance between sportiness and practicality, necessitating an enlarged body, intended for those seeking a more premium grand tourer. In practice, it caused consternation even among the brand's supporters. Mechanically, components from British Leyland and Ford were used, a natural choice for a small manufacturer that couldn't afford to develop everything from scratch. Under the hood was a 2.5-liter Ford Essex V6 engine, producing 150 horsepower, a decent, it's unimpressive figure in the segment the Mantis aimed at. Despite promising numbers, the unit was quite heavy and had limited refinement, failing to imbue the car with the dynamics expected of a British Grand Tourer. In practice, it lacked the agility and drive of the sporty Marcos. The car was built on a tubular space frame to which a fiberglass body was attached. The total weight was around 1,040 kilograms, which, given the aforementioned power, resulted in only moderately sporty performance. The Mantis could reach 100 kilometers per hour in around 8.5 seconds, and its top speed was just under 205 kilometers per hour. While the numbers looked good, in practice, it was difficult to control, especially at higher speeds. Drivers reported a tendency to oversteer and rear-end overtaking, which, combined with the long wheelbase, didn't encourage aggressive driving. An additional problem was the price. At launch, the Mantis cost £3,185, a considerable sum at a time when the fuel crisis was beginning to affect customer decisions. Potential buyers were looking for cars that were either economical or prestigious, and the Marcos offered neither. Fuel consumption of 15 liters, 3.3 mpg, didn't help, and the styling effectively discouraged those seeking to emphasize their status. As a result, only 32 examples were produced in 2 years. These were tragically low sales figures, even for a manufacturer. The project's failure forced Marcos Engineering to reorganize. The company encountered serious financial problems and was forced to radically reduce production, abandoning larger models. Salvation came from a shift towards simpler designs and kit cars, including designs based on the Mini. It was a step backward, but necessary to avoid the company's complete liquidation. The Mantis became a symbol of excessive ambition, a project that was intended to be a leap into luxury, but instead undermined the very foundations of the company's existence. Before the road-going version was born, a racing variant was developed, the Mantis XP. This was an experimental project, significantly more technologically advanced than the production Mantis. The car was initially equipped with a 3.0-liter V8 from Formula One, later replaced with a 3.5-liter Buick V8. The design was intended to compete in the legendary 24 Hours of Le Mans, which would have been the greatest sporting challenge in Marcos Engineering's history. Unfortunately, these dreams were never realized. The Mantis XP ultimately appeared in only one race, at Spa-Francorchamps, where in difficult, rainy conditions, it struggled primarily against its own weaknesses. Technical problems and a lack of design refinement prevented the car from finishing. Contrary to expectations, the XP did not become a testing ground for the road version, as the two projects shared only a name. Today, however, both the Mantis and the Mantis XP are intriguing reminders of an era when small British manufacturers boldly experimented, regardless of the risks.